Okay, so let me introduce you to what I call the Street Fighter 6 pad player dilemma. Okay, I'm gonna put a little graphic up on the screen real quick that looks like this. This is the traditional pad player layout right here. This is the layout that I've used in Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5 both. You've got your basic 6 attack buttons, and then on L1 and L2, you've got 3 kicks and 3 punches, right? And the reason for having a 3 kick and 3 punch button is so that you still have access to EX moves. As you can see here, I have 1 button EX moves with this layout, rather than pressing 2 buttons at the same time. Because the thing is, pressing 2 buttons at the same time is not 100% consistent. I can do it, this is me pressing 2 buttons at the same time, but maybe 1 in 100 times that I do this, I might accidentally miss one of the buttons because I'm sort of fat thumbing it. Or, you know, I could accidentally press one button a couple frames slower than the other one. So generally, it's better to have a single button than 2 buttons where possible, so that your EX moves are 100% reliable, like this. Like, there's no way for me to mess up an EX move if I use a 3 punch button or a 3 kick button. However, Street Fighter 6 is a very reactions heavy game. There are lots of reaction tests in this game, especially in neutral, and the biggest one is, in my opinion, drive impact. Now, Street Fighter 6 changes things a little bit, because in Street Fighter 6, this is your default layout. Or at least in the demo, this is the default layout. So rather than having a 3 punch and a 3 kick button in Street Fighter 6, the game gives you a drive rush and a drive impact macro. Like this. So you have access to a 1 button drive impact with L1 and a 1 button parry with L2. Now the advantage of this is that it means that if I see my opponent's drive impact incoming, I have a 1 button answer. I don't have to think, I don't have to time things, I don't have to press 2 buttons at the exact same time. I see the drive impact, I press L1, and I get it immediately. So this control solution is very good as an answer to drive impacts. The problem is, if you use this button layout, as I was saying a minute ago, you now have to do EX moves with 2 buttons. And any motion where you're physically pressing 2 buttons at the same time is always going to be slightly less reliable than if you have a macro for it. So the problem for pad players in Street Fighter 6 is, how do I square those 2 things? How do I have access to a 1 button drive impact and also a 1 button EX move? And that's where I introduce this brand new feature. This is a thing that a lot of people don't even know exists. It's kind of buried in the menu, and I'm not surprised a lot of people didn't see it because it's right at the bottom. But if you go into your controller mapping settings, you will notice right down at the bottom here, there is this thing here called simultaneous input assistance. And it's potentially very powerful. And let me explain to you how this thing works, because it's kind of weird. If you want to use it, it's probably going to take a lot of practice to use properly. I'm going to map it to LT real quick. And save that. So, when you press this button now, the simultaneous input assistance, nothing happens. I'm tapping it right now, but if you look on the left side of the screen, there is no input registering, no punches, no kicks. It just says neutral every time. Now, this button doesn't do anything by itself, but if you hold this button down and then do a special, something interesting happens. So if I do, for example, a Hadouken normally, this is quarter circle forward plus punch, I get the fireball. Now if I hold down the input assist button and do the exact same motion, can you see that I'm getting an EX fireball and the inputs are registering as 3 punches, even though I'm doing the exact same button inputs. All I'm doing is I'm holding down the extra button. And you can do the exact same thing with kick buttons as well. So I'm holding down the input assist. If I now do quarter circle back plus kick, I get EX Tatsu, even though I only pressed 1 kick button. The game is giving me EX Tatsu because I'm holding down the assist button. If you don't do a motion and you just press a normal, something slightly weird happens. This. So I'm pressing jab while holding down the input assist button. It is giving me jab, but sort of strangely, the input overlay in training mode shows it as if I'm pressing 3 punches. So it's giving me the normal that it's supposed to, but it's kind of lying and saying that I'm pressing 3 punches when I'm not. Because if you were pressing 3 punches, you would get heavy punch. Like that. Because heavy punch takes priority. So this is kind of a slightly weird implementation. But the idea is that if you hold down this extra button and then input a special move, you get the EX version every time. And it doesn't matter if it's a punch special or a kick special. You will always get the EX version. And the reason this is useful is because, as I was just explaining, as a pad player, normally I have to dedicate 2 buttons to EXs. I have to have a 3 punch button and a 3 kick button. But with this, I can bind just 1 button to the assist button, hold that down, and now I have access to perfectly 100% reliable EX moves that are both kicks and punches. So now I have 1 button free. I can map that spare button that gets left over to drive impact. So now I have access to a 1 button drive impact. This is my L1 button. That's 100% reliable. There's no risk of like pressing 2 buttons at the wrong timing. I have a 1 button drive impact, and I also have 100% reliable EX moves with no chance of mistake on either of them. So I think this could be really useful for pad players particularly. I'm not sure if stick or hitbox players will get a lot of usage out of this. There are some downsides. I don't want to imply that this is just like a guaranteed upgrade. I'll just show you this image that I made. So this is the layout that I think is possibly going to be optimal. So you've got the simultaneous input assist on L2 and drive impact on L1, which is what I'm using right now. So like I said, that gives you fast and reliable drive impacts, and it also makes your EX moves super reliable. But there are downsides. This is a really hard thing to adjust to. If like me, you've played fighting games for 200,000 hours, you have to completely relearn the way that you input EX moves by holding down the input assist button and then doing the motion with a non-EX move. It's a weird thing to learn. So if you want to do this, you have to commit to it. It's going to take a very long time to learn. And the other thing is, I don't recommend using this control scheme if you're relying on EX moves as like a reaction thing. So for example, if your character uses like an EX DP as their main anti-air, it is quite slow doing it this way, because if I see the jump, I have to hold down the input assist button, and then afterwards I have to then do a DP input. So if your character is super dependent on like an EX move that for like a Twitch reactions situation, I don't really recommend this. But if your character can use like a regular DP for an anti-air that doesn't require you to hold the button down or do EX, then I think this could be really, really powerful and has a lot of potential. So yeah, I recommend everyone go into training mode, test this out, see if you can find any cool stuff, because yeah, I think it's a super unexplored option. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the point in the video where I'm going to say you have to subscribe. It's not an option. You have to click subscribe. I won't make you click the notification bell, because like, people always say you should do that, but no one actually does that. So don't click the notification bell. Just subscribe. That's fine. That's enough. That's good. All right, cool.